voted against the funding bill. Good morning, Senator. You said Democrats were given no good road on funding the government and said that it was a choice between two MAGA options. What do you mean by that, and why did you vote no?
Well, we, in a normal world, would have had three options. One would be shut down the government. One would be this really awful deformation, I would call it, of a CR. And the third would be continue with a short-term clean CR, conclude the nearly concluded agreement between Republicans and Democrats on appropriations numbers, and go back to regular order and bipartisan appropriations. That third choice would have ordinarily been the way we went, but the Republicans refused to allow it because they wanted to force us to choose between the CR and the shutdown. And the key to the shutdown here is that in an ordinary world, the executive branch wants to get out of the shutdown, wants to go back into normal operations. With these MAGA extremists in charge, they don't necessarily want to come out of shutdown. And they have tools in shutdown, contingencies and non-essentialness determinations and riffing and things like that, that they can use to destroy the government, just like Doge is doing, except with a veneer of legitimacy, with the authority of shutdown powers. So they were both extremely, extremely dangerous options. And my view is that as Democrats, we need to stop the intramural quarreling about who voted what way and get back to work saving our democracy.
So, of course, it was Democratic leader Chuck Schumer's decision to support the bill that stunned and angered many Democrats, coming just hours after he said he would block the bill. Your reaction to that, and what do you think his strategy is? I mean, what do you think we would be doing right now sitting here if the government was shut down?
Well, we'd be in real trouble. There's a guy over at the Office of Management and Budget named Russell Vogt. He's got a little sidekick over there named Mark Paoletta, who is one of the people in the portrait with Harlan Crow and Leonard Leo and Clarence Thomas. He's part of that court fixer operation. These are very extreme people, and OMB gets wild powers during a shutdown. So what we'd be doing is probably voting first to bring the Department of Defense back out, then voting to bring Homeland Security back out, then voting to bring veterans back out, while they went through other agencies of government they don't like so much and said that this part of the agency, that part of the agency is unessential, and therefore we're going to reduce and force all the employees. We're going to remove it, stop funding it, shut it down, and then you get a very, very different government. Ultimately, we get to a point where they never bring the Department of Education, for instance,
Senator,
back out of
I guess my
shutdown.
question is, let's talk about Senator Schumer. He did not want the government shut down because he felt that would not be good for Democrats either. So what is your reaction to what he did, and how would Democrats deal with that now?
I think that he and the other 9 colleagues of mine who made that decision made a very conscientious and principled decision after a lot of reflection. I'm not going to throw any of them under the bus for the choice that they made. When you understand how dangerous a shutdown is, it's even more sort of understandable why they would feel that way. And so I think what we need to do is stop the intramural fighting and bleeding as quickly as we can. We are in a fight for our democracy right now, and if we're having a fight in our dugout, we're not out on the field and the other team is scoring runs. So everybody needs to have their say. Everybody needs to, respond to their own passions and emotions. But as soon as we can, we've got to get back on the field and fight Trump and Musk and MAGA.
You have supported Senator Schumer, but let me play again what House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said.
Has Senator Schumer, in your mind, acquiesced to Trump?
That's a question that is best addressed by the Senate.
Is it time for new leadership in the Senate?
Next question.
Have you lost confidence in him, the fact that you guys see this so differently?
Next question.
Is it time for new leadership?
That is not my agenda. That is not a helpful narrative right now. I think that obviously there is a lot of distress back and forth between the House and the Senate. That is not unheard of before. And one can read Leader Jeffries' answers as basically, look, move on. I'm not going to dwell on internal infighting among Democrats, and not necessarily like I'm throwing Schumer under the bus. They've known each other a long time. They're experienced politicians. We need to pull this back together and get back to work.